Sure, I knew we had one in every room. And I guess I kind of understood why, but if you had asked me as an 8-year-old to explain why we had one in every room, I wouldn't have been able to give you an explanation. One day, and I remember this as if it took place yesterday, I was at my grandmother's house, and there was also one in every room there. I know that there wasn't one in the bathroom at my house, but I bet you there was one there at her house. And I asked my grandmother, why do we have a cross in every room? And my grandmother, wisdom like you wouldn't believe, simply said to me, because each and every time we look at the cross, we are to be reminded that we are a people of hope. I was 8 years old at the time. Sure, I was a student in a Catholic school, but in 8-year-old fashion, I just said, oh, thanks, and moved on to the next thing. Fast forward 7 years. I had a friend of mine visiting my parents' house, and we had gone from room to room. At this time, my grandmother was actually living with us. And eventually, at one point, he said, by the way, why do you have that thing, by the way, that thing up on the wall? I said, oh, that's called a crucifix. He said, who's on that? I thought we lived in a predominantly Christian society here in the Northeast, but I learned a valuable lesson that day. No. And I said, well, that's Jesus. He said, well, why would you want to be reminded of something so sad? I said, oh, no, it's not sad at all. I said, my grandmother once told me that that's our reason to hope. And there was dead silence. And he said to me, your reason to hope? He said, I look at that, and I'm disappointed. We must be reminded that without the crucifixion, we cannot live the resurrection. The crucifix for us is a sign, is a reminder of the new life that we share. If Jesus hadn't undergone the passion, if he hadn't experienced his death, his Father would not have been able to raise him. And because of that, our existence, our adoption as sons and daughters of the Most High, would simply not be possible. We wear crosses and crucifixes around our neck, yes, identifying ourselves as a Christian, but do we look upon that image and are we reminded that it is our reason to hope? Now, several hundred of us gather in this church tonight, and each of us carries a cross or two or three or four. The first cross was fashioned out of wood. The crosses we might bear and carry right at this very moment might be very different. They might not be fashioned out of wood. They might be fashioned of a marriage that's coming to an end. That's a cross. Perhaps we're on the verge of losing a job, or we've been unemployed for a long time. That's a cross. Perhaps it's because we're rejected by our family and friends. And that's a cross. The cross looks different for each and every one of us. But without the cross, there is not the possibility of new life. Next time you gaze upon the image of a crucifix, whether it be this one here at St. Mary's, one in your home, the one hanging around your neck, perhaps you have a rosary bead, a set of rosary beads by your bedside, as I do. Next time you look at the cross, be reminded of what it symbolizes. That suffering, even though we might have to endure it in this lifetime, is not the end. It's not the last sentence, the last period and the last sentence of life. Life is. And as you gaze upon the image, as we celebrate the exaltation of the cross, I invite you to do one thing, and one thing alone. Say thank you.